The United States has launched major strikes against Iran after the country fired ballistic missiles at U.S. forces in Jordan. President Trump had promised retaliation after the attack by Tehran, saying, quote, "We're going to be hitting them very hard because it's our turn." The strikes come as the war enters its 6th month and amid reports of growing frustration inside the White House. NBC News reports Trump has become increasingly exasperated by the length of the conflict and Iran's refusal to reach a deal. According to the report, Trump recently erupted at top national security officials over his frustrations, with one official saying there is no unity within the Trump administration on Iran. The White House denies the president lost his temper, but says he remains committed to punishing Iran until its attacks stop. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia has joined U.S. operations with strikes on Iran-backed groups in Iraq. Saudi Arabia accused Iranian-backed militias of attacking Saudi oil facilities, but so far, no group has claimed responsibility. And in Egypt, 2 ships caught fire in an explosion at a port. In an incident, one maritime security firm says may have been a drone attack, though that has not been confirmed.
So, Katty Kay, Henry Kissinger's insight that when you're in the White House and making decisions on war and peace, the choice is never between a good decision and a bad decision. It's between 2 bad decisions, and you have to pick the poison. Boy, that has never applied more, I think, than to where President Trump is right now. We're in a war. We can't cut and run as much as Republicans want him to cut and run, because then that defines that region for maybe a generation, and Iran becomes the dominant player. But there doesn't seem to be a military solution as well. And now it's really expanding out into regional warfare. Talk about our allies, how concerned they are that now Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and other countries in the region have been pulled into this war.
Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Yemen. This was the fear when I was speaking to people who are experts on proliferation in that region about a month or so ago. They said the problem is that this has left it far more vulnerable because you have these tensions now. You've got tensions not just between the Iranians and the Gulf states. You've also got tensions within the Gulf states between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the UAE. It's surfaced all of these long-running economic and security tensions. The Saudis don't want the Israelis to be helping the Gulf states with any kind of defensive measures, which they were doing early on in the war. So I think we really do have a situation now where if this does not get resolved diplomatically with serious negotiators, with experts who understand what proliferation is in the region, then we are in a position where this could expand beyond what was initially seen as just a strike by the Americans and the Israelis against Iran. And you've got the prospect longer term of nuclear proliferation in the region as well. You're right. Kissinger was right. If it gets to the president's desk, it's probably because there's no easy solution anyway. But the easiest solution would have been just not to go in. And now that they are in, they've got to find a way diplomatically to get out of this.
No doubt that was the original sin going in, but we are there now. And, the fact that Egypt has now been brought into it, the fact that the Saudis have reluctantly decided they're going to have to engage aggressively, it expands into a regional war. Let's bring in right now decorated combat veteran and former commander of the U.S. Army Europe, retired Army Lieutenant General Mark Hertling. He's an MS Now military analyst. General, of course, the decision was made to go into Iran. And people on this show, I'm sure you, everybody else said the president shouldn't do it. The president did it. So we are here now. Mm-hmm. If the president calls you into the Oval Office today and says, General, what the hell do I do? I've got Vance and others telling me I need to cut and run. I've got Marco, I don't know if Marco's telling him this or not, and others on his side telling me I need to double down, that we can't be weak, we can't leave an empowered Iran. What direction should I go in? What do you tell President Trump this morning?
Well, the first thing I would say, Joe, is to be careful of your language. I'm going to go to what Mika said a minute ago. His comment in the Oval Office yesterday, which struck me, was we're going to be hitting them very hard because it's our turn to hit them. We are stuck in a back and forth. It's tactical, proportional responses. And let's talk about the target list of what they hit. Let's all take our hymnal out and say military command centers, missiles and drone facilities, and surveillance sites along the coast. That's what they've been hitting now for 5 months. So my advice to the president is you can't keep doing the same things you're doing. And you got to be very careful with our allies like Saudi Arabia, striking targets outside the area of operation. You know, one of the things I would share with them, first of all, is because of my experiences in Iraq. When you have Saudi Arabia striking Popular Mobilization Front proxies inside of Iraq, you're further disrupting that government. And when you say that word PMF, or those 3 letters PMF, the Popular Mobilization Front, there's about 60 of those groups inside of Iraq. From the Badr Corps, Al-Haq, Kataib, Hezbollah, you know, it is a Star Wars bar scene of fighters. And when you start fighting them, then the Iraqi government, which would like to stay out of this, has to get involved inside their own territory. So you now have Egypt, as Katy just said, Jordan, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE, Iraq, all of them are joining into this fight. So you got to find a way to narrow it down. And the only thing I can tell the president is you've got to get away from the bombing. You're not going to kill your way out of this. You've got to get some good negotiators in there and basically show a little humility to Iran, even if you lose some things in the process.
So General, so military, obviously, giving them $500 billion, making them the strongest country in the region is not the answer. The MOU, I think, was a disaster. But also, you're saying you can't, there's no military victory here ultimately, certainly not from the air. So is the middle ground possibly squeezing them economically and continuing to squeeze them economically until they come to the table?
Yeah, I think it's the use of all elements of national power, Joe. It's not just the military. You can use that as a stick, but you have to also use, to a degree, the economic power of the United States against them. But you also have to help the world get involved in this, too, with sanctions. It isn't going to just be the United States. We had an indicator that the UK last weekend was going to start a council of discussion with us. That seems to have dissipated. I'm not sure where that is or where it went, but it's going to take not only the economic and the diplomatic, but the informational piece as well. The president can't stop talking about this on Twitter and what he's going to do, or Truth Social, and what he's going to do next. That's part of informational power. You can't keep threatening a regime that doesn't seem to want to believe your threats. And by the way, you have to understand, too, the way Iran is coming at this. They have multiple sources of their nexus of power. You're not just dealing with their negotiators. You're dealing with a rabid IRGC. You're dealing with a population that now thinks we are the great Satan because we've been bombing them for 4 months, and we have no economic leverage at all whatsoever and no alliances to help us. So from the beginning, this has been disruptive, but now it's even getting worse because the president continues to do the same thing he's been doing for 5 months and expecting different outcomes. And we're showing right now on the screen the things that the Defense Department wants us to see, which I continue to call war porn. I don't care if a truck is blowing up like it just did just now. What is the effect? What is the political outcome of all those explosions? And right now there is none, and there hasn't been for a very long time.